I gotta just embrace the moment for a second. This is unbelievable. Good morning, everyone. I'm truly honored and privileged to be here today. Thank you, Spike. Thank you, Safe. Thanks for James to open up his house and invite me here. And thanks for Hashem for letting me be here, standing here in front of you. If you told me 10 years ago I'd be on stage sharing my life story with the entire community and trying to help people, I would say you're insane. But I'm here now, and I'm very, very humbled. Before I share anything about my story and my addiction, which was compulsive gambling, we need to know what the definition of compulsive gambler is. Any betting or wagering for self or others, whether for money or not, no matter how slight or insignificant, where the outcome is uncertain or depends upon chance or skill, constitutes gambling. That means if you're playing with your friends a tennis game and this guy just decides to say, you know what, I'll pay for the court, that's gambling. If somebody wants to play basketball with you one-on-one and decides, he wants to take it on, that's considered gambling. I want to take a moment and touch on the dangers of gambling, especially with what's going on today with our youth. Not to say that I'm any older, but kids are watching sports now more than ever. The lines, which means that the odds are on the actual TV screen. They can bet while they're actually watching the game. We can't stay away from it. Here's the insanity, and I was actually at that speech when Harry was giving about the cell phones the other day. These little gadgets that don't leave our hands, or cell phones, are making it worse. With gambling apps and online casinos, actually, just a tap away, the number of youth exposed to gambling has skyrocketed, as Jimmy said. A recent survey, which I found on ChatGPT, thank you, that 55% of 11 to 16-year-old kids have the gambling apps on their phone. 11 to 16-year-old kids have it on their phone. Crazy enough, I was actually at the office the other day, and a couple of kids, about 7 kids, were leaving the office, and I said, you know what, our kids, community kids, I said, let me take a poll here. I said, out of the 7 guys, how many guys do you have an app on the phone? 4 of them raised their hands and said, me. So that's already half. And these are guys I just met 30 seconds ago, and I said, let me take a poll. With kids being targeted more than ever, it's crucial for parents, wives, friends here today to be educated on these things and this topic. I heard a speech from my rabbi the other day. It was a great analogy where the rabbi was asked to speak on the topic. Any topic, they said, Rabbi, choose a topic. How about raising children? He goes, raising children? I don't know much about raising children, but what I do know is about raising parents. When Ike actually called me, I spoke at Hillel once before to the kids of our community. I spoke to the Magen David kids of our community. And now I actually stand here in front of you speaking to the parents of these kids. And I feel very special to actually relay the message to you because I know how important it is. Let's be clear on one thing. Gambling is a very profitable business. They know exactly how to get you hooked. Apps like FanDuel, which they mentioned, they're spending around $300 per new customer acquisition. Think about that. We're all businessmen here. $300 to get somebody hooked. That can literally be any one of us today. DraftKings, they're giving up to $1,000 in casino credit. You don't even have to go to the casino anymore. It's literally on your phone. So gambling companies are spending almost double, even triple, to get these new customers. They're not idiots. They know that they can hook anybody at any given time. Okay, now that we have that clear, the fun part. Let me introduce myself. I'm Morty Kameo. I have the addiction of being a compulsive gambler. And my last bet was 3,559 days ago. Thank you. You would never think that this would be your moment, or if it would be my moment, but it is. It's my moment. My gambling started innocently enough with some scratch-offs during high school when I was about 15 or 16 years old. I was, a little kid just playing scratch-offs during recess. A night of friendly poker tournaments with the boys for $20, which turned to 40, 60, $100, eventually thousands. Occasional visits to the casino in AC, occasional trips to Aruba, which all of our kids have been, including myself. Don't be fooled. Your kids are in the casino, whether they're of age or not, they're there. They think it's cool. That's what I thought. I thought it was cool. All these gambling binges, and I never really looked at myself like I had a real problem. Over my teenage years, it quickly escalated from small amounts to higher amounts, and I'm talking a lot higher amounts. I remember once at a friend's bachelor party in Montreal, I passed by a shop, and I was debating whether to buy sunglasses at a store, and I look at the glasses and I was like, oh, $400, okay. So I started thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna buy them with the manipulation of easily convincing my friends that night that we should go to the casino to try to make back that 400. Those glasses cost me $4,000 at the end of the night. Losing the money didn't hurt. Well, it did, but losing money did hurt, obviously. But it was the manipulation, it was the craziness that I was able to convince my friends anything. It's called in the program stinking thinking. We just want to think in a way where we can just tell people what to do and convince them. My business career started out in the mail order industry trying to make money at the time. Considering the pressures and the price of nice things nowadays, especially out of high school, especially of the kids now that I see, they just want to make it. They want to make it big. They see everybody else making it big. They see our community. They see how tough it is. They see how hard it is to actually make it. So they want quick money. It's also nice as a teenager to just buy things that you don't even need. It's just fun. I remember when I was young and I was making money, I didn't have any expenses. I just bought stuff. They were just sitting there and for no reason. I was betting on anything and everything. Baseball in the middle of the day, soccer at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, tennis at 4 a.m. while I was sleeping. I just needed the action, just to get through my day. But why? What was I missing? Was it escape? Was I trying to run from something? Was it boredom? Was it self-worth? Did I feel like I can't make it in life? What was it? I remember leaving the Shabbat table, actually, on one of the Friday nights, just to place bets and watch the action. Shabbat? What's Shabbat? I was gambling every time, all the time, on Shabbat too. There's no religion when you're in the grip of the illness. It makes no difference. The one thing that I would love back is the time that I've lost with my parents and my siblings. That's the one thing I couldn't replace. So sorry, Bob. Sorry, Dad. I soon found myself opening up my own business that barely lasted a year, considering the responsibilities that I took on, which were zero. I was gambling while I was trying to make a living. I was dating while I was trying to get married. I wanted to just be a normal person. Ike always mentions it in his speech. I just want to be a normal person. After deciding to shift gears, I leave the industry. I went into the wholesale apparel for about 2 years thinking I can learn and grow something and do something and be something finally. Maybe I can get over this, slowly but surely. But the gambling didn't stop. Day in and day out, week in and week out, I saw myself taking money from my accounts that I had somewhat saved up and paying my bookie. Back then we had bookies. We actually had to go see somebody. I had to go see somebody to actually have the action. We keep talking about it over and over this morning about how easy it is for the kids or anybody in general, to actually make a bet. I had to go see somebody. Picture this for a moment. A lot of you guys work in the city. I used to work near a 1407 building. I used to wait for this guy to show up, this big guy, and I would give him a wad of cash every Monday. Why? To replenish my account, because all I cared about was the bet. Week in, week out, week in and week out, just paying the guy. The guy became my best friend at one point. Why wouldn't he? I'm giving him all this money all the time. Nothing mattered, just the next bet. Luckily, throughout the new job, though, one positive thing did come about that. I found my lovely wife, Karen, who's sitting here. Yes, she's still sitting here. I got married at 25 and she was 21. 21. She was young. I was young. Kids are getting younger by the minute getting married these days. They don't even know who their spouse is sometimes. She was in for a rude awakening. 5 days after we got married, I decided to fly my parents to Vegas, considering there was an off-price show. I thought it would be a great idea, no? Every compulsive gambler's dream. I decided to make a sheva berachot in Vegas. I flew in my parents. My in-laws were already there. It sounds funny now, but it was a great story. As we were heading up the room, you know, being the compulsive gambler that I was comped at the Wynn Casino. And my parents stayed at the Venetian with my in-laws and everybody, and I thought I looked cool because I was in a different hotel. Little do you know that I used to gamble in AC, you know, I was comped from Vegas, and that's why we stayed at the Wynn. As we were making our way to the room, I decided to take a 3-hour pit stop by the blackjack tables. My wife was sitting by my side. I'm playing 4 hands of blackjack, $50 to $100 each hand. She looked at me like it was fun for a while. 1 hour goes by, 2 hours goes by. All right, let's go. I said, no, you go. 5 days married, guys. I decided to come up at 3 in the morning, maxed out of my credit cards, knocking on the door, and she decides to open up the door while yelling and screaming while packing up her bags and saying, I'm out. So my newly married wife, after 5 days, has threatened to leave, and it hasn't even been a week. Despite thinking I hit my rock bottom, you would think I'd be done. But I continued to gamble for another year. It just got worse, never better. Taking money from our safety deposit box week in and week out, paying multiple bookies, not just one, I had multiple at the time, walking into Chase Bank for that final time and seeing a black empty bag with a $72 voucher that was left for my wedding money, which was over 150 grand that I blew away. I reached my lowest point. I felt defeated, broken, and very alone. The weight of my actions pressed down on every waking moment. I felt worthless. Over time, I actually became numb to that feeling. That's what gambling does. It makes you feel good about your losses. It makes you feel like, oh, this is normal, this feeling. That's the feeling I always had. That's when my friend now, who actually, believe it or not, was my bookie at the time, he even thought I had a problem. He said, hey, call Ike D. I said, who's Ike D? He's like, take the number and call. I remember exactly where I was. It was in the showroom of still in the wholesale company. I call Ike. I said, hey, Ike, I'm Morty. I have a gambling problem. He said, great, perfect client. Bring your wife in and we'll talk. Click, I hung up on him. Call my wife. What does my wife have to do with it? I have the problem, not my wife. I decided to move on. After another month of unthinkable betting every hour on the hour, trying to make back my money, I decided I surrendered. I finally made the call on October 1st, 2014, and started step one. Step one in this yellow book, which I keep by my side by my bed every night. Admitting I was powerless over gambling, and my life has become unmanageable. And I attended my first meeting that night. Recovery began entering the SAFE program twice a week with my wife and with my wife. Gamblers Anonymous meetings twice a week. So basically my whole week was about recovery. Asking for help was the hardest and most crucial step. Asking for help was the hardest thing I had to do. Going to see this bookie all the time, going to the bank and seeing my money gone, I didn't care. Asking for help, being vulnerable, that got to me. In our community in general, we often see asking for help as a weakness, but it's actually a sign of strength. As the Rambam teaches us, no man is born wise. We all need guidance and support to grow and overcome these challenges. I had to throw some rabbi stuff in there, whoever's here. Maybe somebody's here, but
If they're not, they'll hear us.
they'll hear us, okay. SAFE's mission is to address the disease of the addict, given the options that they meet for their clients and their families. But there's one thing you need to know. It can happen to anybody. If you don't think that it can happen within your family, it can. The illness, the compulsion, the craziness, it doesn't discriminate. Regardless of your background, your age, or your status, it makes no difference. I continue to seek help through meetings. I used to go twice a week to my GA rooms. My sponsor, who I owe a lot of gratitude to, the people here as my support system, they told me actually that this guy probably won't come back. You know how many people actually make it in the program? 2%. 2 out of every 100 people who walk into the room and say that they have a problem gambling actually stick around. As years went by, I started feeling better. I kept with the program. I got a sponsor. I listened to Ike. I got the help that I need. I went through SAFE. But we call it in the program life on life's terms. Fast forward 6 years. I want everyone to take a minute and just close your eyes for a second and really do it. It's worth it. March 2020. What's the first thing you realize or hear? It could be sirens. It could be COVID. It could be spending Pesach alone. We're past that, right? Harry, I remember where you were. We were standing together at a fundraiser a couple of days right before.
Yeah. Who knew?
You know what I remember? I remember rushing my 20-month-old son, Michael, to the hospital on a Thursday afternoon in March. A couple of days after Purim, he wasn't feeling well. The world was dealing with COVID, and we were focused on Michael. A couple of days in the hospital, they said he was going to be okay. We brought him back home, and we thought that that was that. He started playing again. He started being happy again. Monday, March 16, 2020, we woke up and our lives have changed forever. Our son Michael had passed away from a respiratory virus that morning. Waking up to see that pain on my wife's face when she found him in his crib, that's pain. Seeing people who are struggling, seeing myself struggle, didn't make a difference because I was self-inflicting. But when I saw her, that felt real. It was real. I didn't want to talk to anyone for a very long time. I remember feeling that moment that I haven't felt in years. I was sitting during my shiva, and I couldn't speak to anyone. I had all the right to go back to gambling, and no one would have opened their mouth. But I didn't, because that wouldn't have brought Michael back. Because of this, my amazing wife and I have turned the greatest tragedy into a beautiful organization that you guys might have known or not, and now this is our achievement of that, we'll call it. But we started it's called the Michael Kameo Foundation in memory of our son. Which we help kids throughout Purim, because that was the last time we spent with him. We have memorialized him with two beautiful parks here on the Jersey Shore, one in the Chabad and one at the new DSN playground.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thanks, man. That's all because I reached out. That's all because I asked for help. GA stands for GB, get back. I was able to get back my life because of SAFE and because of the program. That's all because 6 years prior, I made the toughest decision to call Spike. That's what SAFE does. They don't just treat the symptoms. They empower to rebuild their lives and your lives. When I called me originally, I thought it was one of two things, either speaking to another school, which I was okay with maybe because they're little kids, because I think that that's the most important thing, or somebody was really struggling. And he looked at me and he said, step up. This is your time to step up. So I did, and I'm very happy I did. Every dollar you contribute to this organization is money well spent, because you never know whose life you might change or save. I'm a regular guy walking the streets, and you would never know that I had an addiction to gambling. Anybody walking in the streets, you would never know. It's totally different than alcohol use and drug use, not to say that they're any less concerning. You have to ingest something as drugs. You have to consume something as alcohol. Anybody sitting here can be a compulsive gambler. Our kids can walk into the dangers like that. Thank God my kids never had to see that side of me, because I never had kids when I was, out there. And I'm grateful for that every single day and every moment. So believe in the power of help and step up. Be confident in your journey. And don't be afraid, because I promise you this, it's worse on the other side. You'd rather have your life back. Take responsibility. Rabbi Meir said this yesterday, and I was telling him, I'm so happy to be here. He said, take responsibility of your actions. When you do that, you wake up. I was sleeping for a very long time, and I decided to take back my life, and I wanted to take back my life. SAFE is here for you and your family, and I'm here for you as well, because no one should do this alone. Thank you for listening, and today I feel safe.